This weekend is Tacoma Open, Games Workshop's first 10th edition tournament. And with that, they are getting lots of FAQ emails or emails regarding rulings about the event or how things are going to be played at the event. Because, as we've talked about quite a lot on this channel, to put it lightly, there's a lot of rules out there that have interactions that don't make sense. That's the nicest way I can write that. Like, I can say that. There's also a couple of things we could talk about that don't have clarification, haven't been clarified for the event, and nobody really knows how it works. One of the big things that we talked about multiple times on the channel is Imperial Knights. Imperial Knights have a thing called Lay Low the Tyrant. Now, Lay Low the Tyrant is an oath ability. If you achieve an oath, if you get super good, you're feeling super powerful, you're like, down with the tyrants, bruh. The ability is, when you do that, is you can reroll a hit roll and a wound roll of 1. Each time this model is selected to shoot or fight, reroll a hit roll of 1 and a wound roll of 1. Now, this could be read as one way, which is reroll a hit roll of 1, which would imply a hit roll, a single hit roll. But also it could be read the other way, because the rules of this game, the rules of 40k, are written in a way where you roll dice one at a time. You roll a hit roll, and then you roll that hit roll into a wound roll, and then as the opponent rolls a save roll, then you roll damage. That's like the sequence of dice rolls. We roll everything together because it's faster, but technically each dice is rolled one at a time. So when you think about the rules that way, you re-roll a hit roll of 1. That could imply every time you roll a 1, you re-roll a hit roll of 1, because you're rolling it one at a time. And there's no clarification. They did this in 9th edition. They had the exact same wording. And it was written in a way where they said, okay, if it says reroll a hit roll of 1, then reroll all hit rolls of 1, because you're rolling dice separately. And we're still doing that, but there's no clarification in 10th edition anymore. So this has been either ruled one way, where you reroll a single hit roll and a single wound roll of 1, or you reroll all ones to hit and wound because of how the rules are written. We don't have official clarification just yet. However, it has been asked about Tacoma Open, Games Workshop's first event in the US for 10th edition. And it was just shared on Discord, and then this Discord message was shared in Facebook groups, and that's the only reason I'm talking about it. But it says, this person says, I assume the thought process is that Chaos benefits from the rule disproportionately compared to Marines. Because I believe the Chaos Knights have a very similar rule that is written so much more clearly. Each time this model is selected to shoot or fight, you can reroll 1 hit roll, or you can reroll 1 wound roll when resolving those attacks. That's very clear. That is 1 hit or 1 wound. But I'm not saying I agree with it, but having identical strats with different costs based on how powerful they are in different armies or even different units is perfectly reasonable when done appropriately. Hi, person. Your question was forwarded to me. Lay Low the Tyrant will be played as a single hit roll of 1 and a single wound roll of 1. And again, this is from the official event. I'll just call them the event organizer. They are heavily involved in the event organization of Tacoma Open. And they said they're going to run it as a single hit roll of 1 and a wound roll of 1. And I know there's lots of rumors saying that the rules staff, the rules team have said, oh yeah, it's all 1s. But we have nothing official. This is as close as we're going to get to official until Games Workshop go, hello, here's an FAQ, enjoy. But yeah, without official clarification, no one knows if it's 1 hit or all hit rolls of 1. We don't know yet. I think it's going to be a single one, purely because Knights are too strong. I don't think that's because of the way the rules are written. I think they've gone, oh, shit, Imperial Knights are really, really strong. Bugger. What we should do is make it a single hit roll instead, because it was going to be all of them, but we realised we cocked up. You can say each time it makes an attack, you can reroll a hit roll of 1, or you can read it as each time it makes an attack, you reroll a hit roll of 1. It's the same sentence. I've pronounced the A slightly differently, 2 different meanings. But this isn't the only one that was actually shown off. There's actually a couple shared in another group that was about some other rulings, which I thought were very interesting. I don't have the original email, but I've got the rest of the email. It says, Overwatch can be used by those abilities to Overwatch twice in the same phase. Note that it must be used in the same phase, as that is part of the trigger for the 0 CP reuse strats. So while you can Overwatch twice in the same phase, you cannot Overwatch in the movement phase and then use such ability in the charge phase. Now, this is obviously talking about Overwatch. Obviously, Overwatch is a strategy that you can use in either the movement phase or the charge phase. And it says you can use this once per turn, because you can use it either in the movement phase or the charge phase. But there are lots of abilities such as a Primaris Captain, such as the Hive Tyrants, and loads of other abilities. Like there's pretty much nearly every codex has one, where it's like you can use a stratagem again on this unit without spending the CP, and you can use it if you've already used this stratagem on another unit, because obviously stratagems are once per phase, but you can use them multiple times with this particular ability. However, Overwatch specifically says you can only use it once per turn. So having a way to use Overwatch and then use a stratagem for free, even if you've spent it on another unit already, does this allow you to use Overwatch multiple times? According to the GW event, yes, it does, which I think's wrong. I don't like that. I think that is like, the stratagem says you can use it once, you know? Not, you can use one stratagem per phase, is the stratagem says you can use this once per turn. Now, I think that should overrule any ability of a codex, but that's just me. That's just my opinion. I'm not here to tell you my opinion. I am here to tell you my opinion. I'm here to talk about why I think my opinion is right, obviously, because I am right. Like, I don't agree with that ruling. I think it should be ruled the other way. But at Tacoma Open, you can use Overwatch multiple times, which makes that stratagem, with abilities that let you use it twice, very, very strong. Like, super duper strong. If you really wanted to, if you want to talk about captains with Inferno, like Pyro Marines with captains, in Space Marines, you can Overwatch 4 times a phase with this ruling, okay? You Overwatch once as normal, so just use a stratagem, spend a CP, Overwatch. You can then use a Primaris captain or equivalent, I think it's called Rites of Battle, the ability to use a stratagem again on that unit for free. Gulliman allows any unit within 12 to affected by a stratagem for free, even if it's already been used. And then Uriel Ventress allows you to use a stratagem that's already been used, but you have to pay the CP for it. So for 2 CP, you can Overwatch 4 times because of this ruling, which again, I don't agree with, but that's what they're going with. So with the Hammerfall Bunker, you can also Overwatch 4 times with that. So you can Overwatch 8 times in total for one army. Because it says defensive array for the heavy flamer or the heavy bolter array. Each time a unit set up or ends a normal, advance, fall back within range of this weapon. If the enemy unit is an eligible target, the bearer can shoot at that target. As if you've got a shooting phase, the bearer can shoot up to 4 times this way. And that doesn't even suffer any minus. It hits on 4s or automatically hits. But anyway, so that's a ruling I don't agree with, but that's a ruling nonetheless for the Tacoma Open. The next one, which I thought was interesting, the standard after both players have deployed redeploy abilities will be done before the roll for first turn. Pick up off the board and put into reserve before the first turn roll. So you deploy, and then you just like move stuff, and then you'd find out who goes first. Which feels like those abilities are just dog poo. Because I guess it really nerfs stuff that can redeploy. So you could do alpha strikes, but also it makes those abilities nigh on useless. All you can do is kind of like bait a setup and then like pull them back. Because you don't know if you're going to go first or not. So you're never going to bait a setup and then leave them on the front line and chance of going first. Because obviously it's just a straight dice roll. So you're going to put something that's really good on the front line that can redeploy. And then you're just going to redeploy before you know you're going first. That's so weird. Because Leontis, the horseman, after both players have deployed their armies, select up to 3 units and redeploy them. When doing so, you can put them in reserve. It's just a useless ability. Not a straight dice roll. I have toilet dice. Well done. Well done. But yeah, so like any after deployed players have deployed abilities are just useless. There's like no point in them. Like I'm going to redeploy 3 units before I know who's going first. So I may as well just deploy them safe. Because what's the point? I'm never going to leave them on the front line because I'm just going to pull them back. My opponent's going to know that. So I'm not going to prepare for them to be in there. If they don't pull them back, they're psychotic because they could lose the turn roll and then just lose that unit. It's for the mind games. You just yell and leave them on the line. I think it should all be just after the first turn deployment. Because again, why is there different wording that's basically the same ability, but isn't? So like Leontis is after you finish deploying, redeploy. But like as you say, the Phobos captain. Like, why is the discrepancy between basically the same ability? You've got, after both players deploy their armies, select up to 3 Astra Military units from your army and redeploy them. When doing so, you can set those up as strategic reserve regardless of how many units. If you just delete this bit, it's the same ability, but they've just added this bit to this data card. Why? Why is it different? It's the same ability. You know, otherwise, these abilities are exactly the same, barring this bit. Like, you could even edit that bit out. Only the Phobos Master of Deceit specifies after turn roll. Every other unit has redeployed like Leontis. Yeah, exactly. Could that not be a universal special rule? Yes, it could be. Master of Deceit could say redeploy or tactical acumen X, and then the X being these units. It's the same ability with a different name. One of the things GW assured us would not be happening in 10th. That sticky objectives, there's loads of abilities. Like this one, Rites of Battle, is again an ability that's used loads of times. So NIDs have the same ability. Yeah, it just doesn't make sense why it's the same rule, for different armies, but one of them has a superior advantage because it was written better. After both players deploy, select up to 3 turn units for and redeploy them. When doing so, sell those units to reserve. It's the same rule. Why is it not after the first turn roll? Why is the Master of Phobos one after and the everyone else before? It doesn't make sense. It really doesn't make sense. I hate dogpiling. I hate shitting on the rules, but it's just rubbish that they're all different. It's so frustrating. It's so frustrating. Why is the same rule written completely differently across multiple armies? That is so dumb. So dumb. Oh, it makes me so angry. Because Space Marine's underpowered and needs extra help. It's because clearly they wrote the Space Marine one last. You know? They wrote the Eldar one last. They just need dedicated editor and or project manager scour for lack of consistency. That's what they should have done. They should have gone, here's all the digital rules. Enjoy, go have fun. We go, this is really shit, all this. And then they go, okay, we'll update it. And then they'll go, right, we're selling the cards now. Enjoy. Thanks to our public play testers, the people, the crowds. Here you go. Post. There you go. Buy some index cards. They're all cool now because you did the work for us. And we'd be like, hey, we did it. We completed it. We completed Warhammer. But the fourth one was like kind of funny that it had to be clarified, but also they didn't clarify it in the core rules. Units that have already fired ranged weapons will not be counted as eligible to perform eligible to shoot / instead of shooting that turn actions like those present on some of the missionary cards. It's funny that the organisers had to call them actions because they got rid of actions which are perfectly written, and now they've created some weird byproduct of actions which actually make way more questions than they need. But technically, as per the rules, you are eligible to shoot in the shooting phase, but you are never not eligible once you've shot. You are still technically eligible. Because if they ever said that you're not eligible, then when you come to shoot twice or shoot again abilities, you can't because you're not eligible. Which is very, very funny. Very funny. You technically never stop being eligible to shoot, even though you've already shot. Now, the obvious answer, the make sense answer, is if you're shooting, you can't do something instead of shooting. But it does technically need clarifying. But anyway, the final one. So this is to do with the Nexus being able to use a stratagem for free. So battlefield analysis. Once per turn, you can select one model or unit from your army with this ability as the target of a stratagem for 0 CP, even if you've already selected a unit, model or unit as a target of that stratagem this phase. So obviously it's using, much like question 1, talking about Overwatch, it's using the stratagem multiple times in the same turn. Now the Nexus, you can target that unit and use a stratagem for free, but a lot of the GC, the cult stratagems, as well as the tuning ones, where you select 2 units, right? It says you can select 2 units for this stratagem, such as Coordinated Trap. So Coordinated Trap is to target 2 Gene Stealer cult units. So it says you will not be able to use, if selecting multiple units is optional, such as Return to the Shadows, it can be used, selecting only the Nexus unit. Coordinated Trap says 2 Gene Stealer cult units on your army, but then Return to the Shadows, up to 2. So they're saying, because it says you have to select 2, you can't use that stratagem. No! That's such a dumb ruling. That's so wrong, surely. But also, I think this comes down to how the strategies are worded. Why is one of them up to 2 and the other one exactly 2? Again, like I said the other day on stream, when you've got stratagems that are allowing you to select multiple units, you should just make all the other stratagems more expensive and leave that one at 1 CP. No, that's stupid. That should just be 1 CP. You can use this twice. Like, why are you paying 2 CP and you have to select 2? That's so weird. That's so weird. It's 2 CP. You select 2 units. Why is it not like 1 CP? You can use this twice. If it's exactly 2, does that mean you can't use it if you only have 1 target? Technically, yes. If you have a stratagem that has to target multiple units and you can't because it's either free on a particular unit or you don't have enough units left, you can't use it at all. But the final one, which was also brought up in the Genes to the Cult group, which I thought was also very interesting, firing deck and one shot. Which I thought was very funny. So firing deck says core ability. Some transport models have firing deck X listed in their abilities. Each time such a model is selected to shoot in the shooting phase, you can select up to X models embarked within it. Then for each of those embarked models, you can select one ranged weapon that embarked model is equipped with. Until that transport model has resolved all its attacks, it counts as being equipped with all of the weapons you selected this way, in addition to its other weapons. But then you have units that have one-shot weapons. Because with firing deck, you technically don't shoot the unit out of the transport. The unit isn't on the board. As the rules are written, or how the game is like written to work, is that you equip the transport with those weapons. So by technicality, you never shoot the one-shot weapon from the unit. The transport is also equipped with a one-shot weapon. Because, as you say, the bearer never actually shoots. You can get multiple one-shot weapons shooting. And also, if you revive a model, if you have like G to the cults, if you bring a unit back, technically it's not used that it's like a new model. The model dies and you bring back a new unit. If it has a one-shot weapon, technically the one-shot weapon comes back as well. It also recharges the one-shot weapon every shooting phase. It does, technically, because every shooting phase, you select it to be equipped with a new weapon. Again, reading as rules are written, you can actually shoot multiple one-shot weapons multiple times for the same unit. And if you bring them back, you can shoot them as well. G's to the cults are the main one, because they obviously have demo charges everywhere. Like Guard, if they shoot a one-shot weapon, they can bring it back because it's a new unit you're setting up. Now, I think this will get FAQ'd quite heavily, to a point where I don't think they'll allow you to shoot one-shot weapons. Now, the normal thing you should do is just say, if you shoot a one-shot weapon from that unit, the unit is technically shot it. But because of the way they've reworded all the rules and made all these new rules that just kind of make sense, but don't really make sense, there's so many of these little interactions that kind of funny, where it's like, oh, actually, technically, yeah, every turn it can shoot a one-shot weapon from that unit, and the unit technically hasn't used it yet. But when you have technically, that also means that it does work that way, and it will be used that way by certain people, and that's not wrong with the people. It probably is the rules. I've had many arguments with certain people in the community quite recently, saying that if someone playing by the rules, you should call a judge because they're being a gamey boy. But the thing is if the rules are written badly, the rules are written badly. It's not the player's fault, it's the rules' fault. Don't hate the player, hate the game type thing. Fresh game from a fresh company, can't expect too much, yeah, literally. Yeah, it's just loads of little things like that. It's just loads of little weird things. Just so many weird, odd interactions that just don't work. And it's just frustrating that we've not really got like any answers, because they could just drop a big FAQ. Like when last week, when they did the Wraith Knights, when they did the Imperial Knight nerfs, they could have just gone, here's some clarifications. We're not changing any of the rules. We're just clarifying how things work. But we still don't have that. And that's kind of annoying. FAQ in a month. Yeah, so 3 weeks. 3 weeks of no clarification after it being out a month. So 2 months.